Maddie. Okay. Okay. Can you guys see me? I'm leeching off my phone. Oh my goodness. Yes, I'm plugged into the router. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's see if this works. Is this working now? It looks like it was sent. I think I figured out a workaround, but it's gonna be a really fun, interesting workaround. Yeah, give it a minute. It's blurry because of reconnecting. Oh, I can just do. All right, it looks like it's working. All right, can you guys see me okay this time? I'm leeching off my phone for the internet. Yeah. So I think it's fine for now. If you guys can see me, it's good. I'm using my phone as a Wi-Fi hotspot. We're gonna finish this. We're gonna finish this lesson. We're gonna finish this. All right, cool. Sorry about that, everyone. Welcome back. Okay. Can you guys see okay? Or is it blurry for you? Make sure you guys... Okay, you can hear me. Can you guys see me okay? Okay. Eric's back as well. All right, cool. All right. I love the internet. Okay, let's finish. Let's get this let's get back to rolling this. Sorry about that, everyone. Turning off simulation. Okay. So back to what we were doing previously. I'm currently still on the steam brush. I use the seam brush to adjust the size of my pattern so it's less wrinkly or the size is a little bit smaller here. I can do the opposite as well. So I could make this, instead of -3, I could make this +3 or even a higher value, which would do the opposite. I can also make the size and the hardness of the actual brush obviously different. But I'm pretty much happy with how this is looking. So I'm going to go ahead and just exit out of this. So I'm just going to click a different tool and get away. I'm seeing a little bit of gaping here, so I just want to check this pattern. Might be a little too wide, and it's easy to fix. Maddie, the cat, is helping judge me harshly. Yeah? Maddie, just because I'm not doing a perfect job doesn't mean you can give me critiques. And just because you can't go in the closet doesn't mean you can be yelling, okay? So I can see here, my pattern pieces are at a pretty high particle distance, and I'm seeing my little pucker here. So if you guys hear noises from the peanut gallery, obviously I was just speaking with her, but there is a cat that I am fostering, and she is just a little grumpy Gus at the moment. Probably because she can't go in the closet. So I can see a point here. I do want to smooth out this curve just a little bit, so I'm just going to add another curve point to the pattern pieces. Giving that a second. And I'm just curving this more so it's straight and it has a nicer transition, and I'm just going to do the same to this back piece as well. And simulate. There we go. That's a little bit better. And I'm turning off simulation as I'm working just to make it a little bit easier. I am seeing some gaping here, so I am just going to shrink this center piece. Yeah, Maddie, you wanna judge me all you want? And I'm just shrinking both. So that I'm gonna hopefully lose that drape there, so it's nice and flush if I can. There we go. That looks nice. It does have a little bit of strain, especially on this back piece, so I'm gonna actually just pull this back out. Okay. It looks fine on the front. On the back, we do have a little bit of the drag lines, as you can see here. Turning off simulation. Let's see. It's the exact same piece. I can also just leave it as it is. It doesn't have to be perfect. And the drag lines also might be being caused by the, turn this off, by the frozen train here. So I'm going to unfreeze the train and see what we can do about that. See if that's the cause here. Looks like that's what was doing it, so that fixed it. Okay, we'll just leave that out for now because that's actually quite helpful. So now that this is perfectly flat, I can go ahead and just freeze this piece and move on to the actual rest of the shirt. Do I want to steal a sleeve pattern, or I'm going to just draft it directly on her? Okay. Next, we are going to work on the sleeves. So let me pull up the image. A lot of you liked the previous image here, the sleeves of this, so we're going to go ahead and copy this similarly. It'll be pretty fun. This also applies to doing high-low skirts. Let me find another version of this sleeve so we can see it a little bit better. I don't want the stomacher. Ah, okay. It's close enough. I'm just using this as reference here. So I'm going to be making the sleeve itself. I'll be cheating it by just drawing directly on the avatar and using that draw an avatar tool to create my pattern piece and then flatten that. And then I'm going to be making these ruffles that go right above the elbow. So these sleeves, as you can see here, also based on this pattern, were quite fitted, and she's really not meant to move. So let's go ahead and also freeze this. Freeze everything, make life easier. I'm going to go ahead and draw my pattern on my avatar. So I'm using the line avatar tool, and this allows me in the 3D window to actually draw right on my avatar. So what I'm doing here is I'm just following as best I can, trying to avoid that torso. Come on. To draft my sleeve. Don't know why it's getting mad at me. Don't make me do it the other way. Okay. I'm gonna have to adjust it. And to make, oh good, you can see me. Oh no, is it that laggy? Oh no, are we lagging that much? Right now I'm just creating curve points on my avatar, but I did squish the joints, so it's kind of causing me a little bit of a problem. And oh no. Am I not live anymore? Hold on. Oh, okay. I just got a lagged message. I was like, oh no, am I not live again? All right, I'm just going to do this a little bit. I'm going to do this the draping way instead, just because I warped this avatar a bit, and it's most likely... I'm going to do one more thing to see if I can make this easier on myself. If you're having issues with your avatar like this, you can always go down to smooth avatar and turn on smooth avatar. I adjusted her elbow and the arms a bit, and it's seeming to cause me a little bit of problems as I'm trying to draw on her. So for the sake of speed, if the smooth avatar doesn't work, I'm going to do the draping method. So let's see if I can do it this time. Maddie, you can't go outside right now. Actually, I think I know what's causing this control. There. Maddie, just because you're cute doesn't mean you can scream, okay? Oh, okay. I think I know. I think I just need to save my save state here. Save project. I'm just going to reopen this because I think when it crashed, it affected my connection to the server. Maddie, stop yelling at me. Oh, okay. I don't know if you guys can hear a cat complaining, but imagine an old woman as a cat, and that's what's happening right now, and she's just complaining at me. So right now it's slow, and I can't tell if it's just because I'm connected to to the internet via my phone, but I'm just going to go ahead and save Marvelous Designer and then just reopen it. Just in case, because I did lose connection to the internet earlier, so I still had the same instance open. Okay. While it's loading, I know you guys can't see. Maddie is just looking at me so upset. It's really funny. She's like, you won't let me do anything. You're right, Maddie. We are streaming right now. Okay. Calm down. Honey, you want to be harassed? While it's loading, here's Maddie. She is very, very much complaining about my designs and that I am being so slow. And that's who I was talking to. All right, let's hope this actually works. Okay. Just for the sake of speed, because I actually do want to get this done, at least for the end of this stream. I didn't expect us to have the internet crash. I'm just going to go ahead and drape this with the basic draping method that we do have in our basic tutorials. I'm going to show you here. I'm just drafting a half sleeve. Yeah, I don't know if you hear her. That's what I was talking to. She likes to just harshly judge me. She's worse than any internet troll. Okay. I'm just checking the length here because I want to end this above the elbow. That's why I was rotating it. So oh yeah, I did move them, didn't I? That's fine. I mean, she wants to be on the screen so bad, and she wants to keep giving me critiques without permission, so I might as well show you guys. All right, so I moved her arms. So here we actually have our arrangement points, which I can normally use to just put the pattern pieces on the avatar, but I have moved her elbows so that they are not going to be colliding with the skirt. So I'm going to go, I utilize this just so I can make the curve. So I'm going to go ahead and toggle off the arrangement points. And I'm just going to move this in 3D now. Yeah? You want to complain about it more? Slightly adjusting it. There we go. And I'm just going to pull this forward. I'm intentionally going to be making this collide with the torso here so I can trace my piece. And unfold with symmetrical editing. I'll do that after. So I basically have my silhouette here. I am going to... Yes, Maddie. I'm going to do that. Whatever you just said. Thank you, kitten. I definitely need to make this a little bit wider. I'm actually just going to go ahead and make the basic sleeve pattern. This is probably going to be, my guess for the actual pattern itself, it's going to be a lot deeper than a normal sleeve will be, but let's just go ahead and see. Normally I would draw this either in the 2D window or the 3D window. Maddie says she wants it in the 3D window, so we're going to do that. I'm doing what you wanted. I'm using the I'm using the line 3D pattern tool, starting at the center of this pattern piece, and I'm using control to make a curve point here. And I'm just going to take a step back. I know I'm going to need to pull this up, but I'm just going to go ahead and get as close as I can to here to then start following this curve. And double clicking to finish. I definitely know I'm probably going to have to pull it out more, and then, yeah, make some adjustments, obviously. Using the edit version of this tool, I'm going to trace it as an internal shape, and then I'm going to use the, cut option, just using the Z key, and cut, because I don't need the top. Now that I've done that, I will unfold this. Unfold with symmetric editing, because I'm pretty sure this is going to have a little bit of a sewing issue. So I definitely know that I need this cap to be higher, and I need to adjust my curve points again. So I'm going to select the curve point tool, and I'm just going to smooth out my sleeve cap. And the sleeve cap is the portion that is the top here. And then this under portion, I am just going to pull this underneath just so I have a little bit taller of a cap and I have some space under the underarm. And we're going to see how this pattern sews, and based on the drape, we're going to make some adjustments. Pulling the sleeve up to the torso. Okay, here's it. Thank you, train. And clean up my UV or my 2D space just a little bit. Okay. Now I can reactivate my pattern, at the very least freeze it, and then sew it into place. So I will remove the linked editing from across this symmetry line, because this is not going to be symmetrically linked. Otherwise, will cause me a sewing issue, because I'm not sewing the front part of the sleeve to also the front part of the other side of the sleeve. It would cause a sewing problem. So I'm going to go ahead and remove my linked editing. I know there's some sewing issues with this, but we're going to see how it's going to look. I'm selecting the entire pattern piece, or the entire sleeve cap up here, beginning the next segment of my sewing, holding shift to do more than one segment line. Wow, it is almost exact. And as you can see, it's creating that sewing relationship. So I'm going to go ahead and simulate and let that sleeve go onto her arm and see how that looks. Actually, this doesn't look bad at all. I think I might need more volume in the cap. There we go. And I'm going to check my strain map after simulating just to make sure. Also, feel free to ask questions as we're going. Yeah, it looks like I definitely need to add a little bit more ease in the cap here. Yeah, Maddie? So I'm going to add a little bit of volume to the circumference here. Let me see. I think I just want to pull it out. So what I'm going to do is, Well, aside from that, maybe questions related to Marvelous Designer. I'm doing pretty good. I'm just a little annoyed that my internet's slow and I'm using my phone to currently stream. I'm surprised it's working, so I'm just glad about that. Yeah, my cat's grumpy about it though. She really wants to watch her shows. Yeah, yeah. So now that I've made this adjustment, you can see here in the underarm, there's a little bit of strain in the back and especially on the top. So I think I'm going to add some volume here. Ooh. Maddie, just because you scream at the closet doesn't mean I'm gonna let you go in the closet. And then we will simulate that. So this is called the strain map. This is telling me, based on the colors here, the percentage of the actual strain that is happening on the material. So anything red is under a heavy strain or a lot of stress. So it's telling me that there is a lot of pulling happening here on the material. Whereas, like, for example, the sleeve here, this is loose and it's fitting with slack. I'm going to go and actually get a better representation of how it's fitting by unfreezing the bodice. Yeah. Okay. And just in general, there is going to be strain here, it seems. Let's see. What? Well, that simulates for a second. We're seeing here the strain on the bodice. This is from the corset. This is having a little bit of a collision issue. Because if you were here on the first portion of this when we first started before we lost the internet, you could see actually there was a fold here that wasn't completely finished, or it hadn't like resolved itself yet. So that's what's causing this. So I'm gonna go ahead and fix that real fast before it decides to cause any other issues. So to do that, I'm just gonna go ahead and I can tell what it is, so I'm just going to go ahead and adjust the size of my brush. Okay. So I can see right here. My PC specs are the base specs actually is what I'm running right now. I'm just using my personal tower. I would have to check, but we have it on the on most of our YouTube channel, on most of our YouTube videos. The specs are in the description boxes. Where are you? Okay. There you are. Maddie. I'm just pulling this backwards so that it goes in. There we go. Okay, I've fixed it now. Maddie's just mad about everything. Yeah, but my specs are, I believe, exactly at the base recommendation specs. That if you check our website, that you can see. Eric, in the chat, can you post the a link to the specs for me? This is what happens when am I streaming like on another location? Like where am I? What is causing this? Because it's not Marvelous Designer. This is me. This is something I'm doing. I don't have the stream running twice. I don't have 2 iterations. I might be lagging again, but in case I'm not. Oh, thank you, Eric. Okay, there we go. I'm glad you're enjoying the stream. This is the slowest I've had happen with Marvelous Designer just because I'm currently forcing it using my phone. So that's why our stream is being quite slow. So thank you all for your patience. I'm just gonna leave the strain map as it is. I'm not gonna be having her move. So normally I would say to make adjustments in the underarms for fit, but in this case it's okay. Oh, there we go. I do want to check one thing then, since it's going a little faster magically. Which is bigger, the sleeve or the... Okay, the sleeve is bigger. That's okay. That's what the strain is there. Okay. So the sleeve seam line here, you can see here, if I select it. The reason that I'm having this strain here is because the reason that there is a strain on this seam here is because this seam is 219.6 going into a 203.1 seam. So this is larger than here. That's okay. If I wanted to support this structure, I could also apply the seam taping here to prevent it from stretching, and then it would apply the stretching to the sleeve itself. Let's see what happens when I do that. It should cause this to buckle a little bit more. The other reason that we're not seeing the actual proper read of the fit is because these pieces here, as you can see how large the mesh is, this sleeve is 20 particle distance. If I bring this down to 10, I'm going to see a more accurate simulation. Crumple time. Crumple, you know, it should be ruching or gathering, but I like the word crumple. It's not the proper word, but you know. So now you can see this is colliding with the other portion of the torso here. So you can actually see now that I've reduced the particle distance or increased the particle distance, you can see here that there is more volume here, and there's actually a wrinkle that's forming on the back of the sleeve. Just because we did follow that older pattern. So if I wanted to get rid of that, I cannot choose just the basic tack. And this actually applies to most patterns as well. If I simulate this, the back isn't always going to be the exact same shape as the front, which is fine. I'm using the tack here to fold away this amount, and then I can see how this fit looks up here. This is still tight, but I am going to pay it no mind, honestly, at this point. This isn't really going to be worn by real people, so we don't actually have to worry about the true fit. Or comfort, in this case. So here I can see that I need to remove some volume in the sleeve in this back. The front's okay, just because of the shape of this sleeve. So I can see that I need to remove about a large amount of this. So keeping this in mind, I'm going to go ahead and delete my tack. And then I need to reduce, it's already been telling me before, but I need to reduce the length of this sewing, of this curve. Which is why I left the point here, because I am just going to use the edit curve tool, which edits the whole curvature instead of just those curve points, though it's not going to be the cleanest thing, as you can see. There it goes, but it will help me get closer. And I just need to pull these guys in. With a nice smooth curve, please. And I'll simulate again. This also doesn't have to be perfect. Honestly, a lot of the time when you're working in Marvelous Designer, you want your wrinkles. So you can engineer your wrinkles in this way. I'm going to go ahead and just freeze that right now. Normally, and again, a lot of you haven't seen this previously, but normally I would recommend shaping your avatar or importing your avatar with the actual silhouette that you want, rather than doing what I did here, which is this is one of our base avatars that I then applied and made a simulated, an attempted version of the actual stays or the corset. These would be called stays. Here on the torso, I created I tried to create the simulate the actual corset here, which would then give me the actual silhouette and shape of the time period. I would recommend you just carve your avatar or shape your avatar that you're then going to import to have the silhouette that you want, so that you don't have to worry about creating the corset underneath. These things would be creating the shape, and in this case, our avatar is, you know, it's mesh, it's hard body. We're not going to be creating the shape we need and adjusting the body of the avatar as accurately as you would if you just sculpted it in a separate software, or as you would in real life. So this isn't perfectly accurate. I just want to remind everybody of that. But we're you know, this is the same concept. In fact, you can see on the strain map where it's having issues with the corset, and that's fine. So I've created pretty much the sleeve here. Let's go ahead and move forward, turning off simulation and doing those fun ruffles. I do need to bring this down, as I can see it's a little bit too high. I'm going to remove this center point that we had previously, and then I'm just going to pull this down. And I'm turning this top point into a curve point just to keep it clean. This is imperfect, but just for the sake of the stream, I'd like to get this done in the next hour, because we did lose a half hour, so hopefully we'll get this finished. I can see here I do already want to taper this back in, so I'm going to go ahead and taper in more at the elbow. And then just to make this easier, I am deactivating these pattern pieces, but I'm not deactivating the sewing. The reason that I'm doing this is so that it will create a faster simulation as I'm working. And let's see. I do want to make this a little bit tighter, and then I will add a curve to the underarm, or to the sleeve hem here. Yes, so for those of you wondering, just in case, for those of you who are new, the reason it is this blue color and clear is because these pattern pieces are deactivated. So if I was to have any other pieces lay or try to interact with them, they would in fact just pass straight through. This does make the simulation work faster, especially because I'm still using my phone as the internet, which is why we're much slower than any other previous stream. I'm going to have to speak with my internet about that. And okay, I want to bring this down a little bit more. Simulate. And then, okay. So as you can see, this is tapered in the sleeve, which means I'm going to need to make this straight on the arm. And to do that, it's pretty easy. I'm just going to use the curve tool or the C hotkey, edit curve line. And I'm just going to create this into a smooth curve. The reason I'm doing this is so that I can square off my corners so that it transitions into a nice smooth line. Pretty sure it's that. Yep. Oh. So I figured out what it was. Archive.org was streaming a video on me. Thanks, Archive. I didn't want a video playing in the background. Right as I closed it, Marvelous Designer also closed. Yes, thank you. Right? What ancient internet secrets? I was trying to just have open a reference image, but apparently it was playing a second image behind, playing a whole video behind that. All right, where were we? Oh, thank goodness it saves every iteration. Thank goodness Marvelous Designer saves every 3 minutes on auto. Okay, so hopefully this is what's doing it. I'm also just running everything on my phone because my internet decided to crash, but I'm gonna try to finish this stream for everybody. Okay. Looking okay, looking okay. I do want to bring this up just a little bit. This sleeve is ugly, but we're gonna just leave it. It's fine. Yeah, and as you can see here, we had that one strain, that one red point on the strain map, and that's this point here that I didn't clean up on the last stream. All right, so I do have one of the images still up for the sleeve reference. They're these really pretty, like ruffled sleeves that have, they're short in the front and long in the back. I'm gonna show you guys how to do this. Come here, this one. As we can see here, I'm probably going to have to cheat this a little bit, just because I can see that this has a bunch of micro pleats and it's eased in. This can cause a lot of issues in Marvelous Designer if you have a whole bunch of super, super tiny pleats. So we're going to try it, but I can also show you another way to make this work. So, well, this is a Rococo or Rococo Baroque period dress, a mantua robe. Actually, I made this dress specifically, number one, just because I wanted to make a dress that was band. Because historically, these dresses and the width of these dresses ended up eventually being banned at some events because you couldn't go anywhere and you couldn't walk in the doors. So, yeah. The reason that I use this specific avatar rather than the T-pose or the A-pose avatar is because this is the basic avatar, actually. I just took the skin color off just for the sake of it being consistent with the corset, is because her arm would have to collide inside of the dress. Because this is still a dress. I have to move her hands out of the way because historically, this is answering to Yuri. Their question was, do you have any reason why I chose this avatar rather than the T-pose or the A-pose avatar, her arms would be colliding with the dress the entire time. These sleeves stop at the at the skirt, or at the panniers. Her elbows, when wearing this court dress, would be resting on the dress. So if I made this garment and I didn't move her arms up, like they most likely would often have their arms up or forward, I couldn't make this dress because she would just have her arm colliding into the actual garment. Actually, let me just add it just so you can see. I'm going to add her to the workspace. Just so you can see the arms, just add. Nothing simulating. So this is why I moved this avatar's arms. Here is the other avatar. Her hands would be colliding into the garment, and I would not be able to build this look. And that's why I moved her arms up. It also makes it easier for me to make and draft these sleeves next. So I'm going to go ahead and start that. It's actually really simple. It's just a bunch of ellipses here. I'm going to measure this, 260.6. And I'm going to create an internal ellipse, and I need to make sure it's twice that. 260, 520. And then I can make adjustments to the rest of this. Giving it a little bit on the edge there. This is going to be way too big. Where is this? It's too big for the first layer. It might be big enough for the second layer. I don't think so, though. So let's just make some adjustments here. Still too big. And I'll just do another. So this is the one I'm going to do a little bit of the cheat for. This is going to be, I guess we will do, this will be this last layer. So I'm just going to do them all at once. Let me do another ellipse. Make it much larger. I don't know if I want it to be that big on her arm. How much difference do I want here? Yeah, that's fine. I'll do a third one that's a little smaller. She has 3 layers. Okay. That looks pretty good. And looking at this, this has some nice ruffles here, or I'm going to call it, that's a nice little shape there. I'm just going to go ahead and freehand that using the internal line tool, just the internal polygon. Just looking at it. Yes, I know I need to draw inside, thank you. I'm just going to create curve points. Kind of like a leaf. Make that a little bit. And then I'm going to slice this in half. So the reason I've done this shape is because I'm going to use this as well as this piece to right click and want to cut this. I'll either cut it or trace it, whichever one it lets me do first. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and trace it. This is another option. Sometimes you can cut it. Sometimes it's easier to just trace, so I'm using the trace tool or the I hotkey. Selecting those pattern pieces, right-clicking and tracing as pattern. And there is my pattern. This is the diameter I wanted. I only worked on the half because it'll make it easier to right click, unfold with symmetric editing. And there is the beginning of that sleeve. So then I can make the rest of these similar in shape to this one, just by doing different sizes. But what I do want is to make my ellipse, my internal ellipse, the correct size. So circumference, it needs to be double that, so 560. And I do want to remove the linked editing across the center, just so I have the one. I'm going to give it a little bit of material in the front and center this. That looks good. And then I'm just going to take this piece and then make smaller ones. I will have to adjust my ellipse every time, but that's fine. Give it a second. I forget that I'm still on my phone. And when you're connected with Marvelous Designer, it's not Marvelous Designer connected to my phone causing the issue. It's the OBS causing a problem. It's just trying its best, you know? Okay. It's just trying. This one will have to be a little smaller. Just a little bit. That's fine, because it can be, doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't have to be doubled or tripled. Right click, convert to whole. Hi Rosemary, welcome. Rosemary is one of our super users in our Discord chat. She's very helpful. Yeah, Rosemary, if I'm going really slow, I'm currently using my phone as the internet, which is why our stream is a little laggy and why Marvelous Designer is laggy, because my OBS is mad at me. Because I'm trying to still stream with phone as a Wi-Fi hotspot because my internet died midstream. Let's see. I think that's going to be the wrong way that I don't want. All right, I'm going to pull this down. So I'm working from the largest to the smallest. I should make a bot for the Discord to announce our stream when it goes live. We normally announce them just on the YouTube channels. Okay. So here is what I like to do. This is going to be gathered into the sleeve. I am actually going to, now that I do this, I'm going to freeze the sleeve. Flip this back around because I don't know why they did that. I think this was originally a two-piece sleeve, but that's okay. Again, I'm looking at this sleeve for reference. This needs to be going towards the back. I'm going to have to freehand the exact location for this, so I want to put a point actually on this pattern here. To make my life easier, I want to make sure I know which is the back, so I'm going to just add a segment point or split the line. I'm going to just click here in the 3D space. Yeah, this is probably originally a two-piece sleeve. So I'm just going to create a segment point here to let me know as I'm sewing this using the free sewing tool where the exact center back is, because I'm going to start at center back on the largest piece. And then I'm going to follow that holding shift. Oh, I held control. Again, remembering which direction I'm going to start sewing, holding shift so my line is green, and let go. Then I'm going to right click. I could let this kind of slingshot in, or I can right click and choose superimpose side. Check this and simulate. I should probably make this a smaller particle distance, but we'll see. The other sleeves are falling, that's okay. It's pretty good. Let me reduce the particle distance on the sleeve just so we can see how it looks a little bit more accurately here. They're not falling anymore. Don't worry. So I just froze them with Control K. I could also have turned off gravity, but I didn't want to turn gravity off, so that's fine. I almost want to make this bigger, but that's fine because I can always make changes to that. Now that I've sewn this into place, I'm going to sew the rest of these, going in the same direction I need to go. Unfreezing them one at a time. Unfreeze. I'm not simulating yet, as you can see. And then I'm going to do, this time I'm going to do superimpose over. And as you can see, it's right over it. I can simulate again. Superimpose has been available since at least version 8, if not older. You can't see it unless you have a sewing relationship created. So I'm going to show you again. Using the free sewing tool, I'm just sewing them on top of each other. Unfreezing, obviously, because that would cause an issue. So as long as you've created a sewing relationship, you have the options, and you'll see superimpose over. Under or side. I choose over, because I'm stacking them on top of each other. Yeah, in the pocket tutorial you see that as well. So these are pretty large particle distance, so I'm going to go ahead and reduce them all to 10 again. I'm going to have to pull them out of the skirt, but right now I don't want to simulate that skirt because it is a larger piece of fabric. Oh, they're also draping because I just need to add a generic material. Everything's hardware right now, which is why things look strange. So I'm just going to drop. There it is. Nope, come on. There we go. And then now they're nice and drapey. See? They're not perfect because these are definitely you can see here they have super tiny micro pleats. If I wanted to do this, I would do this separately and bring this in as a trim or as a OBJ, or you can always sculpt it too. This would potentially cause a lot of collision issues just because they are super tiny pleats that are the size of width. They're probably 1/4 of an inch each, like each way, and then there's just so many of them. I can do it, but you wouldn't want to see it on a stream, if that makes sense. Yes, so the amount of ruffles is directly related to the material that it's sewing into. So these ruffles, let me actually spacebar this. Oh, thank you, Rosemary. Faster than me. So it's directly related to the ratio. So these ruffles are 2 times as wide around, so I can actually make them more if I wanted to be. I'd have to make this a larger piece, so just for the sake of conversation here, I also want to change something really fast. I want to change the sewing angle to turned, I think. Let's see if it's turned will work better. Other way. Custom. That way, okay. Other way. Yeah, I can make the hole larger. I can also cut this and slash it and spread it a bit if I wanted to do that. Right now I'm just playing with the fold angle. But I probably just want to keep it at 180 anyway. I can make the hole larger. I can also make this wider. But if I make the hole larger, then I'm going to start losing some of this. It's also not that gathered, which is interesting. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to leave it at 10. I'm just going to pull this around a little bit, see what it's doing. Because it's pretty close, and I'm going to stabilize the sleeve itself. That it's sewing into. Normally it would be sewn onto it, and a lot of these were just either pinned or the person was sewn into them. Because why not? You had people dress you, might as well have people just sew you into your dress. Because, you know, Rococo, might as well. Yeah, I'll get a higher detail of gathering if I reduce my particle distance, but for the sake of the simulation and as well as the stream is using my phone, and that's what's OBS is causing this to be slow. It's what's just causing it to be a little bit slower than ideal. As you can see. Thank you. Also, it'll help a little bit if I apply elastic to it. I can apply elastic to the sleeve as well if I want to gather it a little bit more. But I would want to reduce my particle distance. Like Rosemary said in the chat, for those of you who are on Twitch, Rosemary is advising, which is what I would also say to do, obviously, is to reduce your particle distance, probably to 5 if you want higher density of wrinkles. Here you can see I'm using elastic. Just for the sake of this, I will show you when I bring it down to 5 particle distance on all these pieces. It will give me a more accurate drape, as well as I will get a lot more wrinkles in doing this. But you don't want to go down to 5 until you're basically done and you're ready to let your fabric settle. Because it will cause your simulation to be a lot slower. Whereas mine is just also slow because I'm having issues with the stream. Because my internet's down and I'm using my phone. There we go. But here you can see I get a lot more accurate wrinkles. I also used elastic as a value to help gather it a little bit more in case I need to. You have a few different options. I did stabilize this sleeve. Oops, where'd I go? Turning off simulation. I added the stabilizing here just so that all of the gathering and all of the stretching so that there is gathering applied to the ruffles that I'm wanting, not any stretching being applied to the sleeve itself, or as little as possible. I can also support it by adding the hardening or stiffening this. Yeah, let me, actually, Eric, can you post that in the chat for me? Here is what's going on. Normally, this would be gathered alone on itself and then applied on top, intact in place. What's happening here and why you're seeing this stress line is because I've sewn it into the sleeve itself. So the reason that you're seeing this is just because it's sewn into the sleeve, not sewn onto it. So if this was gathered beforehand and pleated in the proper way, that's why we're seeing this puckering. I can fix it a little bit, but we also only have about a half an hour left. I am just going to fiddle around with it just a little bit. I do want to remove the elastic value because I just don't like how it's doing that. All the way, please. There we go. Oh, there we go. Yeah, the elastic is what was doing it. Thank you, Eric. Yeah, sorry. There's also a 30-second lag between between what I say and what you guys see. So thank you, Eric. Yeah, there we go. Actually, it was the elastic that was doing it. I thought it was helping, but it wasn't. So I'm just going to pull this out of the way. And I'm going to activate, or at the very least freeze this. Bring it back into the simulation so I can bring the ruffles down. There we go. And that'll rest on top. In fact, you can see a lot of the nice ruffling here in the front. I probably want to add a little bit more, so I'm just going to go ahead and pull it after turning simulation off. And just kind of do the same thing. I'm just going to make that slightly bigger, and then the smallest. And then turn these into curve points. Oops, caps lock. Okay. There we go. Let's make that one a little bit bigger. There we go. So we're not making this exact dress, but it's just kind of we're stealing the design here. So let's go ahead and take this entire sleeve and apply it to the other side. So now that I've made everything on the left side, let's go ahead and bring it to the right by just right-clicking, going to Clone Pattern with Link to Editing, and then apply that to the other side in the 2D window, and it'll bring it in the 3D window. You could use superimpose side, but I wouldn't recommend that as this has already been simulated. We just want to bring it over. Just manually makes it a little bit faster. And then we'll simulate it again. Let it sort itself out. Okay, and I do think I don't like what I've done to the center back here, so I'm going to start making some adjustments to this train. Ah, yes. In this case, this was sewn up on top for this court dress. But again, I am also just kind of cheating it, obviously. I did want to share this. We're probably not going to get to the other pieces, but I did want to share this resource for everybody. I'm going to go ahead and pause this for a second. We're going to do the 17th century, 1770s. Where is this? Here it is. Give me, please. Thank you. It's very slow for me. I did want to share these resources as well. I just picked 1770 to 1779. This period is this is just a generic mantua. There's a bunch of different styles. I'm just referencing one specific one. But this is a really good fashion resource. Because as Rosemary said, the pieces that were worn under the sleeve that you see here are would be called engagements if this was a different style gown. I don't remember which period this court dress is from because I had to delete the link because it was slowing down the stream. But this specific piece, as you can see, had the this one specifically has these pieces that I'm making here pleated and sewn on top, whereas a bunch of other styles had them underneath. This one just happens to be different, and I just happened to pick it. I'm definitely not being perfectly historically accurate, as this is multiple different dresses put together. At least two that we referenced in the previous stream, and then this one was also being referenced in that previous stream. But I'm finishing up with this one. Oh, and for those of you who are not on the YouTube, and you might not have seen it, Rosemary shared a fun fact, which is that the sleeve ruffles were also a separate piece worn under the sleeve called engagements. Or sorry, oh my gosh, I can't say that right now. I'm just going to copy it. And paste it. Don't judge me. All right. How long is this sewing line? 124.5. Okay. So I want to match this sewing line. I'm going to have to make some adjustments as well. But first of all, I want to make the length correct. So I'm going to do 124.5. Oop, wrong way. And do it at the other end. So here, I don't want to do it at the start. I want to do it at the end. Select OK. And it has to apply it to both sides. Though I do want to go this way. There. And then I'm going to true this curve here. Just make this one a little bit simpler. Ow, how do you say that? Because it's a French word. I can't say it. Don't judge me. But I will share the link to the Wikipedia for this specific, how to say that fun fact. These ones, this one does specifically apply to the, I believe, the lace. Ruffles and flounces of linen cotton, tacked on the elbow. Oh yeah, no, you're right. Tacked on top of it. That is the name. In this case, I'm doing the version that is tacked on top. For the poofy bit, did I bring in a mesh with my avatar so that it would collide? Do you mean for the skirt underneath? For my simulated pannier? Yes, if you were asking about this piece on the bottom for the skirt, this is actually just a single pattern piece that has about a 100 value of rendering thickness applied to the pattern piece. So I had made a very quick and dirty pannier for this. Okay, and I'm going to simulate the front again. Now this version, I use the pattern for a mantua that has a closed front if I wanted to have a closed front. We may not get to making the stomacher, but we will see. There is something going on. Ah, that's what's going on. There we go. Yeah, actually, if you also want to simulate thicker materials, I've found that's the that trick, including the increasing the simulation thickness, also increases the stiffness of the material. So I've actually used that for simulating armor, depending on if I want it to be a little bit stiffer. I just thicken the material, but it doesn't account for the turn of cloth that does occur. Actually, Damien, I can answer your question too. If you want historical patterns that are in the public domain, specifically, I shared them with the stream earlier, but I'll share it again. Archive.org is actually what we've made this piece from, as well as I'm sharing you one of the ones that we would have been using had I not had the stream die. These have historical patterns that you can actually use. Archive.org is always the one I would recommend because you can actually use them as they are in the public domain. There are some and there are some that are not in the public domain. There's some that are owned that you can't really, copy exactly and then sell as your own work, for example. And there are patterns that are owned by people that you would not. I do not encourage copying and stealing someone else's patterns and then calling it your own pattern. All right, I'm just gonna go ahead and do this. Merge. Piece cannot be merged. Fine. I'm just going to continue the pleats as I'm going down and doing this, and I'm just following my pattern here as close as I can. Doesn't have to be perfect. There's some patterns like the Janet Arnold patterns that are technically owned by Janet Arnold, I believe. And if you make them and then claim it as your own work, that it would not be ethical. Okay. I'm just continuing these lines, and I'm in fact going to select all the ones that are here and make sure that they are touching the edge by choosing Extend and Trim to Pattern Outline. And then I'm going to apply the same folding rule to them. I wonder if I can try merging it one more time. I'd cut this away, but sometimes pattern can't be merged. That's fine. That's what I get. Right now I'm selecting all of these ones that correspond to the blue lines, because as you can see, these fold angles are 360 degrees. So I want to continue the pleat down the skirt, so I'm going to go ahead and just do that. And then do the same to the other pieces, but do the opposite, so 0. And now this is starting to settle. And then I'm just going to use the segment sewing tool and sew these pieces together. Oops, not that piece. And I think I want to leave this one out. Yeah. And then unstiffen this. I'm keeping this at hardware just because it's going to match the top. just so it's nice, so just so it's stiff. Maybe I don't. Let's see. I'm just gonna make it the normal draping fabric. Yeah, we'll leave this one as that. But yeah, archive.org has all of them. Just type in tailoring and you can get access to all of the historical tailoring books. It looks like I'm not going to be able to get to the next one, but the next one I was going to do was going to be Victorian menswear. And that's one of the books that I linked directly in archive.org. But just make sure to type in tailoring and then just type in whatever publication date that you want. Let's see. Yeah, we'll probably end up doing that on the next stream if you guys are interested in these more historically accurate garments. Let me, because I wanted to talk about how some books are a good resource, but some aren't. But we're not going to be able to get to that. But I provided you a good resource, as well as this link is really good. The fashion history from FIT, or yeah, I believe it's from FIT. Yeah, this fashion history website is also really good as just a resource in general for if you're working on a specific time period. And okay, let me. I'm deciding if I want to get the stomacher because some of these are closed and some of them are not, and I'm just trying to cheat the stomacher if I want to do that. This is still deactivated, so I'm just reactivating it. There it goes. But I'm keeping it frozen so that I can still work with this. But in this one, I'll just use the internal polygon tool line. Oh yeah, actually that's a really good one. I'm going to copy that rosemary and share it just in general. Because I don't know if the Twitch stream is getting that. I'm going to make sure that Twitch is also getting the comments and getting them pushed towards them. Or Eric, can you check for me? I'm barely struggling. I'm barely surviving with just the one stream going. I'm gonna go ahead and continue these lines. I'm just gonna add a segment point just above them, just so I can get the pleat in there. Yeah, SEA is great. As well. Okay. Ooh. I'm increasing the length of these segment points, but or the segment lines, but I didn't want to do that. So I'm just adjusting it as I'm going. Sometimes it's convenient, sometimes it's not. Just make sure that you're not messing it up like I just did, and don't simulate until you've finished it up. Okay. I'm going to grab Rosemary's comment and I'm just going to paste it in for Twitch as well. And I'm just moving my sewing back up to where it was before. I just want to have these pleats in there so it looks nice. I think I fixed this. We're going to see though. Nope. Okay. Control Z. I missed one. There it is. I keep hitting control by accident. There it is. Okay. Okay, there we go. Do I want, how much time? Do I want to make a stomacher? I mean, it's kind of easy. It's not going to be perfect. I'll make a stomacher really fast. It's not going to be perfect because I just wanted to get this one done. But we shall make a stomacher. Where is my, oh, okay. It's actually not here. I'm just going to draft it. Normally a stomacher would actually have boning in it, but in this case I'm just making it for this final piece, and I'll show you how I thicken the material. So I'm just going to fake this stomacher here. So I'm going to show you the stomacher really fast. Often people were sewn in, it was either pinned or sewn in onto the garment, and people were pinned or sewn into their dresses. And I'm not going to be using the stomacher tabs, but I'm going to show you a stomacher. Just really fast. If it'll load it for me. Which one will load faster? It's a race. But I want the French stomacher. Okay. So here is a stomacher. It is a version of a stomacher. It's really just a rectangular piece that is generally boned or stiff. I'm going to show you, I'm going to share this link with you. This is just an example of a stomacher. This is 18th century. This is still, actually this is, it's close enough. It's still the same kind of thing. People would be sewn in. I'm looking for the one with the tabs. Okay, here it is. Often you'll see them with tabs as well. And they would be pinned or sewn into them. Okay. So this one's probably made in 1750, 18th century. Stomachers, triangular panels inserted in the front. So this was actually sewn. If I can do this. Come on. Come on. Please. Fine. So this would actually be sewn into the front piece, which is what I'm going to make really quickly. And it has tabs in the front, as you can see here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that really fast, so that I can remove this front piece here. Because on the original pattern that we had done last time, or last stream, This pattern for this mantua is for a closed front mantua, and this line here is for if you have a stomacher. So again, it's just a triangle. How bad do I want to make this stomacher? Okay, I'll give it a little bit of a curve. Just at the bottom. Keep hitting control. Okay. Oh, not control. I keep hitting Windows. Just don't hit Windows while you're working. Okay. There we go. And I'm just working on sort of the half. Oh, I'm gonna fix that. And then I'm just going to right click and unfold with symmetric editing. So let's see the stomacher. I would recommend you actually bring this in as a separate piece. Let's see. This might actually be an okay size. So I'm gonna go ahead. Hi, Maddie. At least the cat's quieted down. I'm gonna go ahead and cut the center front off. So double click, and I'm just choosing cut. And I'm not going to simulate. Grab my stomacher. You can already see here that I tried to simulate the corset. So for my stomacher, my mantua is a little on the larger side of the design, so I'm actually going to pull this in. For my stomacher, I am going to use the trick, and I'm going to bring the hardware material on it. I'm actually just going to make a copy. I don't want the fabric one, I want a copy of the hardware. Copy, drop. I'm going to stiffen it, and then I'm also going to increase the rendering thickness, and I'm probably going to make it 10. Let's see how that looks. And then I'm gonna get this as close as I can. I do want to make some adjustments to this. Just because this is really imperfect. So you have a few options. You actually can pin it or you can sew it in. So you can just use pins in Marvelous Designer. So we'll do those two options. I am going to make it a little bit easier for me, and I am going to freeze this for now, and then I'm going to pin this to the stomacher. So if you wanted to pin it, you could do so. Yeah, I can play with the property settings. We are going over on time for the stream, which is why I'm not, but I'm going to show you because Rosemary did make a good point. If you wanted to actually simulate this a little bit more accurately, I can go to my fabric. I can go down to my presets and details, and I can make this a little bit stiffer, and I can mess with my properties. And these are all of the presets. But for now, I'm just going to leave it as is. I haven't even tried it yet, so I'm just going to go ahead and... So you could pin it. Honestly, I probably wouldn't want to, but I will show you how to pin it to each other. So in the real world, they actually used like pins, stomacher pins. And here you can see I've actually pinned the material together. So you could do that, or because my internet's actually still down. That's going. Or in this case, I'm just going to sew it edge to edge just to make it a little bit faster. Okay. Using the free sewing tool, I'm going to see where I want to start. Okay. So I started the sewing in the 3D window and I'm ending in the 2D window and I'm finishing it in the 3D window. And then just double clicking to finish. Might cause some problems simulating, but let's see what happens. Oh, I should probably unfreeze this as well. Now, normally a stomacher would not warp. So that's the one thing, is that it's a little bit stretching. This would be a solid piece and it would be flat. So this is also why I recommend that you actually shape your avatar to the undergarments or to the silhouette of the time period that you're working in, rather than working and trying to get it to shape afterwards in Marvelous Designer. I did not do that. As you can see, I am simulating what it would look like. But an actual stomacher would just be pinned in, and it wouldn't be as thick as what you saw here. But I'm just doing it for the simulation thickness. Obviously, I can adjust the presets, which I will probably do. If you guys want me to make this available for free, I'll probably do a finished, edited version of this that's much cleaner afterwards. But again, you can always go to the property editor. And this is also lower on the neckline than you would want. Okay, that's settling itself back down. So I'm going to make adjustments for the sewing, bring it to the bust, and then lengthen the stomacher. Just a little bit. I mean, yeah, this is a little oblong. It's not perfect. It's definitely a little too tall, though. Let's fix that. Just a little bit. You know what? And because I've done that, I just need to fix the mesh just a little bit. Okay, let me just grab the box. Okay, and then just pull it down. This is because I actually did the pleating. I would probably recommend you make some adjustments if you don't want to have to deal with these collision issues. This is just because I've been adjusting these pattern pieces. Where are you? There you are. Okay, and then we're pretty much close. Like, we're pretty much done here. Let me unfreeze all of these, or reactivate. And what I did want to do is I wanted to merge these pattern pieces, because sure, in real life they might have not been woven at that width, but I can choose whatever I want. In my world. Exactly. Yeah, unlike the real world, I can't just use an iron and press it out of the way. I have to deal with my mesh intersections. Exactly, Rosemary. Okay, so okay, I'm gonna go ahead and freeze the top, or deactivate the top, and then the bottom is going to cause a problem if I simulate that. So as you can see here, this was colliding in with my other imported avatar, or my, in this case, my simulated super quick and dirty Pannier. So to fix that, I'm going to right click and choose Reset 2D Arrangement so it's flat. Reset 2D Arrangement. This one is over here. That's fine. I'm just going to rotate it back. And I'll simulate it. Oh yeah, actually that's a great trick. What Rosemary said in the YouTube chat is a little trick that she would use on the skirt is to make the density of the outer skirt material lighter so that it doesn't weigh down the panniers. Useful if you're animating, as well as it's useful if you are using a real pannier and you actually did a pannier pattern. I will show you guys what a pannier looks like. Let's see if I can get Rococo. Do I want it to be that wide? Where's the... I mean, it's not perfect, and it's not the actual time period. This will do. I'll show you what an actual pannier looks like and why I created this simulated one. Okay, so this is an English pannier in the same century. Oop, come here. Open image in new tab. So this one is much more modest in width than the one I've made. And the one I have made is an existing one like what we saw in those other images. This is what a pannier looks like underneath. You could make this in Marvelous Designer actually as a cloth piece, or you could do some other things if you wanted to cheat that and you really did want to simulate. But this is what a pannier would normally look like. This is a cotton or linen pannier, and this is also an 18th century stay that would then that creates the cone silhouette that I was simulating or attempting to simulate using the base Marvelous Designer avatars. And this is what creates that silhouette. These weren't tight, by the way. These were just very fitted garments that created structure for the pieces that went on top of them. It is basically a flattened hoop skirt. It's exactly what you saw in my silhouette. So they'd have little ties on the inside, tying them to the tying the backs to the fronts to create this shape. So if you actually let them go, the hoops would spring back into just making a round shape. Except for at the top, these are actually little like half pieces. But they would want to be in a perfectly circular shape. So that is why this is actually really accurate to the shape of a pannier. That's also why in this pattern, this dress normally would have pockets, but in this pattern, I'm not adding pockets. But pockets would just be slashes right across, or not even slashes, just openings right here on the seam with finished edges that you would then have your actual pocket bag inside. And often, depending on the pannier, I really liked it. It's not really historically accurate, but I have also seen some panniers turned into pockets. So the pockets are actually inside of the pannier instead of on top, or depending on who's making it. One of the corset companies I worked for had the pockets inside the panniers, and if you had just like bought Ruffle exterior panniers, you could lift up one of the ruffles and like that's the entire pannier is a pocket. It's great. They're super sweet and it was really fun. Okay, so now this is all put together. I'm gonna add a fabric copy. Let's just get this a nice finished look and then call it done for this stream. And then next stream we can start the Victorian men's garment piece, and I can show you what to look for in a good resource book from archive.org and what not to. Turn off simulation to make my life easier. Don't do that. Again, this isn't perfect. Don't judge me. But this is relatively accurate. I believe this Mantua had some issues. Just because this Mantua pattern only had the pattern that I had, it didn't have any instructions other than what was written on top of that pattern, which you can see in the previous stream. So let's go ahead and bring in some textures. So for fabric 2, I'm just going to make that the entire skirt. I'm definitely going to be using some of our substance materials and just make it all worse and slower. Desktop, stream files, substance. I want those cranes. I love those cranes. Where's the cranes? I'm gonna have to find it myself. I know it's not accurate, but I want those cranes. You can't see it just because it would be really slow if I was showing you. That's the only reason I've toggled this off. Well, actually, let's see what this silk file looks like. Normally it'd be a taffeta, but that's fine. Oh, okay. Maybe not. Maybe not that. Oh, there it is. Shiny embroidered cranes. I don't want that color. I want the white. Oh no, what about the pink? All right, let's do pink. They would have had pink. I have a search tab at the top, but I couldn't remember the word crane. It wasn't letting me search by the name. I typed in the word crane and it's not appearing. I do what I want. It's my stream. I'll also just use those cranes. I probably don't want it to be as pink, but that's okay. Oh, I do want this back piece to be the same. And the reason it's looking like this is because I have actual pleats in it. So this is what it would look like if you actually did pleat your material. So if I go to my UV editor, you can see that it will be. I'll just leave it as it is for now. You can see here it's the full piece. Whereas here it's been folded. And then, what piece is this? I guess I will unharden it just so we can see. I'm going to make a copy because I want to change this print. Let's just say I did want a different print here and I wanted it to be okay. We're going to go with that. I can do the unified map. Let's see if I want to. Let's just, for the sake of it, this is most definitely not historically accurate in any way, shape, or form. I'm going to go back to this piece. Unified map, repeat, I'm going to do 0.5. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I need to do 2. 2 to make it smaller. Normally this would have a different ornate center front, but just for the sake of speed, we're just going to do it this way. Obviously you saw what a real stomacher would look like. I don't think I have anything that I like that actually goes with it. That would look nice. I'm just gonna look over here. I don't have a lot of textures because I didn't bring one in for an embroidery piece. But it generally would be an ornate embroidery piece for the stomacher. We'll just keep it like this. At least you can see this. I do want to make a little bit of a change to the shade of pink. It actually could be this kind of a color. I just personally wanted it to be a little bit lighter, so that's what I'm going to do. Just because of what I've happened to pick. Just for funsies, what is this material made of? I'm going to make this one even bigger. Just a very large print, just like that other previous one, because might as well. This is just one of the base substance textures that you can get from Substance, but I've just chosen this as my design. So normally this would be sewn in, and then she would have to be sewn out, like seam ripped out of it at the end. And I'd probably have more ruffles, but just for the sake of the stream, we've been going on for a little while, and it is relatively slow. We'll go ahead and I will do one more ruffle. I will do a ruffle because I did say I was going to do a ruffle. I'm going to do a ruffle down the line here, down this seam line that connects the stomacher to the actual garment, or actually on the mantua. So I'm just going to do the same thing that we did, or similarly that we did with the sleeves. So I'm going to measure this using the edit pattern tool. I've selected those two line segments, and you can see underneath my mouse to the right there is a number that is combining those two segment line measurements, which is 445.8. So I'm going to at least double that, 445.8. So 890. I'm just going to round that up to 900 and make the height. I don't think I want 20, but that's fine. And we'll just add some ruffles here. Make that a little bit wider. Okay. I should have just unfolded it along the center. That's fine. So I'm going to create a line down the center here, and then I'm going to create a parallel line running down this. Instead of sewing it directly on this edge, I do want to offset it just a little bit. So what I'm doing is selecting that segment line. I'm right-clicking, and I can offset it as an internal line. And I'm just going to do 5 millimeters offset. And now I have an internal line that I can sew this onto. To make this easier, I will make this one 5 particle distance. It will be slow to simulate, but that is okay, and I know that it's going to happen. So I'm just going to go ahead and actually I'm going to do it this way. I'm just using the segment sewing tool, and I'm just going to sew it to it. Unfreeze this one piece. And again, I am using the superimpose over this time. And this is why I'm freezing everything except for that. And I'm going to edit my sewing line because I don't want it to be all the way down here. So I'm just going to move it up for that internal line. And I'm going to make sure that it's the normal fabric, it's not the hardware, and then I simulate. Give it a minute because it's at 5 particle distance, so it's going to be pretty dense. This is pretty wide. I can always make it thinner. Just to make this easier. I'm also going to give this a layer value of like 5. No matter what, it's going to be the top layer. And then we'll simulate one more time. Just because it's so dense, I'm not surprised it's doing this. But this is my ruffle. This is a 1 to 2 ruffle, so this is twice as long as that sewing line it's being sewn into. And then I'm just going to go ahead and stop simulating. And then I will make a symmetrical pattern so that it'll be sewn onto this piece, and I don't need to worry about simulating again. But I will still simulate anyway, just to make sure it lands correctly. There we go. Yes, and last stream we did touch on these, but Rosemary also commented the search terms that are relevant to this are robe à la France, robe à l'anglaise, and sack back dresses. In this case, though, this is not a sack back dress. This is specifically a mantua on the top. Yeeted my phone. Okay. Yeah. Sack back dresses are a little bit different. I wanted to do sack back dress, but I might do it a different stream. I did want to go into menswear after this for everybody. And what is this? Normally I would probably bring this all the way around, but just for the sake of the stream, I will clean this up and I will have this as a resource for you all later on the store, and I'll clean this up. But you can freely download this. So this is just our fun little Rococo inspired dress using a period patterns that didn't have the best instructions if you were there for the previous stream for the mantua. And I did not have a sleeve pattern, so during this stream I drafted it, and we were referencing 2 different dresses that were already in existence and available online from history websites and from museums specifically. So I'm going to go ahead and now, and this is so shiny. So I'm going to go ahead and move us over to the next scene here. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you all so much for those of you who did stay. I'm so sorry that we dropped the stream. But we somehow managed to come back on. I hope this was informative at the very least for, making a mantua using a pattern that didn't have any instructions. Thank you, Eric, in the chat for helping when I disappeared for a minute. Let's go ahead and share those resources one more time. I did want to share them again. So here, the first links I'm sharing to the chat are the historical resources, and then archive.org for those of you who just kind of want to recap. Archive.org is the ones that I was using some of the patterns from, and I will be using them for the next stream for the menswear from the self-balancing system. So if you choose to look at this, you can follow along. I'm not sharing with you the bad one that I planned for next week, so I'll show you one that's not a very good resource. And actually, Rosemary's been really helpful. She joined the stream right near the end, but in the Discord channel, Rosemary is one of our super users. She is really helpful in the Discord, is generally awake during like PST times. You'll sometimes see her on there, but she's just doing this as a hobby. She doesn't work for us. So be nice. Otherwise I will kick you out of the Discord. But she's she's a great resource, and I recommend you go to the Discord and take a look at the resources there, as well as we have a few pattern resources But if you do choose to chat in the pattern resources, we do clean those up periodically. So if your discussions disappear, that is why. Just a heads up. As well as for those of you who are watching on Twitch, we do leave the stream up for... Oh, does the link not work? The link should work. The link works. Oh, I just... Okay, there. For those of you who are on Twitch, we do have our streams kept and saved in perpetuity on our YouTube channel. We do let the Twitch streams stay there for the 14 days, but they do expire. And then for those of you who are new to Marvelous Designer, oh, Eric's posted. We do schedule a stream every other Wednesday, so it's not this next Wednesday, but it'll be the Wednesday after that. Oh wait, Rosemary, I think posting links might be broken if you are not the stream owner. But check out the pattern reference resource. We have a whole resource channels thread. We have a whole specific channel dedicated to pattern and fabric resources and tutorial resources. Let me check that Discord invite. It shouldn't be. It should be a perpetual invite. I mean, I'll make a new one. It's just weird that it's expired. This one will only last you 7 days, so do it quick. This one's just a 7-day expiration one. So for those of you who are potentially watching this later, we do have a Discord invite that's perpetual on our YouTube channel. This is for the future. Let's see. Yeah, if you take a look at the pattern reference resource channel in our Discord, you can see references there, which do include archive.org and other resources. Did I already share the YouTube link? I did not. Okay, so for those of you who are on Twitch, we also have our YouTube tutorials posting. This is just a link to our YouTube channel. And for those of you who are new to Marvelous Designer, this is a link to the first YouTube playlist for our beginner tutorials, for like really just the introduction series, so you can figure out how to make a pattern from scratch. So there's a bunch of different ways to do it. You can draw on your avatar, you can trace patterns, which we did previously. You can also drape, which is what we did with the sleeve. And And last but not least, again, if you're having technical difficulties and you need actual technical support, this is just a link to the support portion of our website where you can log in, and that helps support tickets get a little bit faster, finished a little bit more quickly. You can log in and then you can contact support for any assistance. Yeah, no worries. You also might not have a Discord account. I don't know. But yeah, the Discord is working. I checked both links, so. But yeah, thank you all so much for joining. Thank you, Rosemary, for giving us some fun historical facts as I was streaming there at the end. You will all be tested on this next time, okay? There will be a written test. And again, thank you so much, Eric, in the chat for helping me recover the stream after I lost my internet. But thank you all so much. We will be streaming again, not next Monday, but the Wednesday after that. Yes, Rosemary, there's going to be a test, and you better remember the words that you said. I get to have my textbook out. She says, closing her textbook. But again, thank you all so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Feel free to join the Discord, and there you can also share projects that you're working on and get other users to help answer questions. Have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you on the 21st.